What is going on, guys? Samuel Touches here, back in a top 10 list for y'all today. It's kind of usual, as you guys know. I'm reaching 9 years on YouTube, so I figured I'd do some videos in celebration of that. One that I've been doing is doing a ranking on my top 100 favorite movies of all time. So I hope you all enjoyed that. But I figured I did redo some other old videos I've done, honestly. And one of those, it's basically going to be a series of videos where I'm going to talk about my favorite show, the best and worst shows from Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network. And this was some of the first things I've done, honestly, some of my favorite, least favorite shows from those networks, because I'm a huge supporter of those networks. At least I used to be, honestly, but I do have a lot of nostalgia for those networks, so I figured, why not redo that by doing a ranking of some of my favorite shows from those networks. So, that is what I'm going to do. It's going to be first up, like 5 or 6 videos. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a worst Cartoon Network, honestly, most because I can't find too many terrible shows, and most of them are just live action shows, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to do fun. I'm going to do like 3 ones on Disney Channel, this one we're talking about, which is talking about the worst shows. I'm also going to do separate ones from talking about my favorite sitcoms, and favorite anime shows, because I think, honestly, if I were to do them, most of my top 10 people are animated shows, so I figured it's better I separate the sitcoms and the animated shows. I'm also going to do a top 10 worst Nick shows, a top 15 best Nickelodeon shows, because there are so many great shows I had to expand it, and some Cartoon Network where I expanded to our top 20. So I do hope you all enjoyed those, so that's, I figured, why the hell not? So, for this first video, I'll be talking about, I think, in my opinion, the absolute bottom of the barrel worst Disney Channel shows. Side note, honestly, these are shows where I have had to watch them in full. I have to watch at least the majority of the show to qualify for this list. Yeah, unfortunately, I watched a lot of these shows in full. So that's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm not including Pickle Peanut on this list, because I feel like it's a show that probably would be on this list. I think it's really considered to be one, if not the worst Disney show, but I don't think I would want to watch Pickle and Peanut for this list. So it's obviously just if one watch that list, but obviously it's just going to be me talking about which Disney Channel show I think is the worst, like which one in general I think is just terrible, whether it be from terrible characters, terrible writing, terrible humor. And this show's always been so hit and miss when it comes to sitcoms. Like most of majority of shows are sitcoms, honestly. They usually nail animated shows, but sitcoms are still very hit and miss. And when they miss, they really miss, which you will see on this list. But I do hope you guys still enjoyed this list. I would definitely love to know your ranking down below in the comments. So what I'm going to do is, let's just get straight to this. There's not going to be any digital mentions this one, so let's talk about what I think are the top 10 worst Disney Channel shows. Alright, kicking out the list at number 10. The 10th worst Disney Channel show for me is, fortunately, so random. After even growing up, I don't think I really liked the show that much. Of course, it's kind of more of a spin-off to Sunny with Chance, which I think a lot of people don't really like, but I always have a soft spot for, so that's not going to be on this list. But even when this show first aired, I never really was by. I think I more liked it from the musical performances than anything, because I was, well, getting more into music at the time, so, but looking back on some of the skits, it's not really that funny. It doesn't really do much, and it's just kind of there, like, a lot of jokes aren't funny. I mean, that's do try, I'll give it that, which is probably why it's only number 10 on this list. But again, it's just not funny. That's really all I can really say about the show, honestly. Like, I don't have much to say, but yeah. And same goes by number 9, which is one more recent show, and that is Just Roll With It, which is a show that I will admit has an interesting concept. It's basically a show where basically just follows a typical family affair, but the twist is that the audience gets to decide what happens next. They can decide what happens. And I will admit, that's a nice concept. I just don't think it really flows naturally, or just happens naturally. A lot of other shows, especially how they interrupt that to do that. And I just didn't find the acting all that interesting or funny. I just didn't find the jokes all that funny. I didn't find a lot of the situations or anything. Like, it's kind of your typical family sitcom, which probably was the point, honestly. But, I just never find it that funny. Obviously, these shows aren't really the worst shows I've seen. I'll definitely give it that. But they're just really not that funny. And now at number 8, a show that I don't think I really hated, honestly, but it's one that's kind of worse the more I think about it, and that is Lab Rat's Elite Force. Now, I'm someone that always have a soft spot for the original Lab Rats. Well, it's a show that has kind of got worse the more it went along, and explains a lot of that tale of means to be a human that I always hate from Disney Channel shows. Elite Force definitely takes that true ink damage stream. Like, it does have a good concept, again, with combining, like, Lab Rats with Mighty Med. Like, I think after that crossover, I think that actually makes sense, actually. And it's fortunate, in the first episode, they kind of flew back a lot of the more emotional stuff. What happens, I'm not going to get into much details, you haven't seen the end of Mighty Med, but it's like they kind of just float through some of the stuff and just don't sink in certain things at the first episode. Like, really. And again, it displays a lot of that mean-spirited humor that I mentioned earlier, which is something that nerds tend to be a lot terrible with a lot of Disney Channel shows, at least as the more they go along, is that they have a tendency to have a terrible mean streak. Which, but by the way, that will be a case for a lot of the shows we will be getting to on this list. And what I mean by that is that basically the characters will be like so mean-spirited to each other, like, and so yelly and saying like hurtful, harmful, and sometimes disturbing and creepy things to each other. And yeah, when we have heartfelt moments, it's supposed to be like, oh, we're family, we love each other. I'm not bad saying about it. Like, you were saying this thing to them just a minute ago, and now you're saying they don't feel that way. Like I don't have a problem with mean-spirited humor, honestly. Like, I'm one of those people that don't have a problem with any kind of humor. Obviously, it just depends. Like, obviously, humor is subjective, obviously, and I'm one of those people that doesn't really have a problem with any type of humor. So obviously, you gotta make sure you do the humor right, and they really don't do it right here. Honestly, and especially how Oliver is so creepy towards Skylar this season, just yeesh. Also, on the side of Disney Channel, sometimes just doesn't know how to write love stories without coming off that way. Which again, we'll get into with some of these shows. But as a whole, Elite Force definitely is a fortunate disappointment, and trying to the show also got canceled, and we never got a proper continuation. It makes it even more disappointing to be on this list. Number 7 gets to a show that I don't think, even when it was airing, I never really liked it. And honestly, I never got around to finish it in the whole day, but I watched enough of the show to where I still think it's pretty bad, and that is Best Friends Whenever. Again, I don't think even when this show was airing, I watched it. The only thing I didn't remember was that scene when they actually played that song Shake Your Booty. That's probably the only like, decent thing about the show, but I really don't have much positive to say about the show, honestly. Like, it's a pretty bad show, honestly. It takes a lot of the worst elements of the show, shows with the mean-spiritedness and the archetypes and the storylines that you expect from certain characters. The two leads don't really have much chemistry or much back and forth. You just kind of play the stereotypes that you would normally expect these type of shows to do. And again, of course, it does have a concept where basically they obviously travel through time by just touching hands, taking over time. Like, but again, it's kind of like someone like we see like over and over again. They don't really do much interesting with it. Again, it's just not much chemistry, not really that funny. A lot of storylines aren't that interesting or compelling. It's just kind of a nothing burger of a show. That's the best way to frame it. And it goes in also a very weird direction season 2. They're just like, really? And it also goes way over the top a lot of points, which why I don't have a problem with over topness. Sometimes there'd be a limit. So that's pretty much all I can really say about Best Friends Whenever. Sorry. Anyways, now at number 6, we actually got the only animated show to make this list. As again, Disney Channel is known for having like incredible animated shows. It was to the point where I decided I'm going to do 2 separate lists as well. I'm going to talk about my favorite sitcoms and my favorite animated shows. Because honestly, if I were to do that, like 8 or 9 of the films would be animated shows. So I think it makes sense to obviously. I think it makes sense to have to do like separate lists for that. But one show did end up making the list. Also, it's probably the only really doing bad show I believe again that I've done. It's actually a Disney XD show, and that is Star Wars Resistance. Yes, a Star Wars show made this list. This was the first of like 2 or 3 animated shows they did for a lot of animated stuff they did for Star Wars and Disney XD. And after that, I really like Rebels, obviously, but this one not so much. Like, it's probably one of the worst Star Wars. Like a lot of Star Wars shows, it's probably one of the worst ones, honestly. Again, it's a show that's basically just a nothing burger to worldwide. If you find concepts with them focusing on like what happened before the Force Awakens, and focusing on Poe Dameron. You just don't really do nothing with characters. Now the storylines are interesting. Now the characters are fun to watch. The animation is very cheap because that makes it not fun to look at. Even the action, which you know has to be exciting in Star Wars, especially flight combat. it just comes up as pretty stale. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say. Now at number 5, we're in the top 5 already, and we're going to show that you probably would expect to be on this list, honestly. There's a show I kind of like in more of a guilty pleasure way. There's a show I can admit pretty badly when I was watching, as Crash and Bernstein. I mean, it's a show basically about a puppet named Crash. Crash, and it's a show that really has the typical, male domination and the female stereotypical humor that you would expect from the type of show. I mean, it's about a guy getting rid of him for his sisters, and one's a male brother, and then gets Crash as a puppet. Yeah, and it does go with a lot of the humor stuff that you would expect, honestly, with the male stereotypes and the female stereotypes and that. This show can tend to do a lot sometimes. It's focusing a lot on the female and male stereotypes, and honestly, when they focus on them so much, it can be pretty terrible, honestly. How a lot of the voices show movies and shows on this list are definitely guilty of that. Have be like, oh, I'm strong, I play games, I drink, I stink, I'm disgusting, and then people's like, I'm girly, oh my god. I'm not trying to insult anybody, obviously. I'm just saying that's the type of humor that this channel can tend to do sometimes. I'm just displaying that. Just to give a heads up, I'm not insulting anybody, just heads up. And that's definitely a big problem. That's British things that focus a lot on that humor, honestly. And I do kind of like it in a guilty pleasure way, though, mostly because of how ridiculous it can be, and I definitely do like the prospects of Crash, honestly. And it can be unintentionally hilarious the majority of the time, which is why I consider it a guilty pleasure. But even then, I cannot deny how terrible this show actually is, so I had having to put it on this list. And now we get to the top number 4. And this show was, I think it is, and apart 3 or 4 of these shows will end up being on my actual list. So it's definitely one of the debate which one I find to be the worst, honestly. But yeah, number 4, we have Stuck in the Middle. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody would probably have the show be on the worst list, honestly. Yeah, I know, Stuck in the Middle, I still don't, honestly. It's definitely not one of the shows that's kind of has that male-female dominated humor I mentioned earlier, but honestly, it's probably the worst example of that. I like the kids in this show. Wow. Yeah, like I said, I'm also trying not to frown on acting kids, but man, the kid, what I also know about this channel, they also have trouble writing actual kids sometimes and treat them in a more realistic and a more inside the globe in the more insane, crazy, and maniacal, questionable ways. But then kids can like that sometimes. So I was like that sometimes, but they go in a very unrealistic and the worst of over top ways, and this is the worst example of that. Truly, the only saving grace of this show, I was saying, probably the only reason why it is a number 4 on this list, is General Gata. Not her character interesting, but more her performance. I mean, there's a reason why she's probably one of the biggest rising stars in Hollywood right now, because, well, she is very talented. I mean, there's a reason why she's now in the Scream movies, and now she plays Wednesday, which is my good show, by the way, and King Season 2. Again, there's a reason why she is one of the rising stars right now, and she's, spoiler, she's really the only reason why the show's only number 4 on this list, because honestly, wasn't that, this show probably could be in debate be number 1, honestly, because it has a lot of the worst elements I hate this shows. Again, now family sitcom, again, basically a family where basically it's 7 siblings, and it has that type of humor that you would expect this type of family sitcom to have, just in the worst possible way. Not the characters aren't that interesting, the storylines aren't interesting, not the things they're trying to do are that interesting in general. I just felt bored for the majority of the show, honestly. But again, general performance does take it from being number 1, honestly. Even in some ways it probably should be, but yeah. Now at number 3, we've got a show I actually forgot even came out, honestly. If I remember that, I probably would put it on my original list. And that is Prank Stars. Do people remember Prank Stars? Do people remember this show? Yeah, I don't think I even liked this show when it was airing, honestly. It's probably one of the most obnoxious shows I've ever seen, honestly. Basically, Mr. Moore show basically playing pranks on these stars and these spans and everything, and going in the more ridiculous ways, and it's yeah, and not just the best way to describe this, ridiculous, it's the best way to describe it. I think the 2 shows definitely worse, and I'm not sure if I would put the show number 1 anyway, but yeah, Prank Stars, yeah, it's pretty terrible. Now we get to the top 2, and on that, this is probably the same top 2, or at least the same 2 shows. that I did in my original list. These are the same 2 shows that I put in my top 2. These are probably some of the worst TV shows I have honestly ever seen, honestly. I don't think there's much like true positive I can really say about a lot of these shows. I don't think there's any moment where I was like laughing, any moment I was smiling, any moment I was remembering from these shows. I think it's probably a lot of the worst elements of Disney Channel shows. So let's just get straight to them. My number 2. But yeah, my number 2 worst Disney Channel show is I Didn't Do It. Do people even remember the show? Honestly, like, about 10 years ago, I'm pretty sure nobody even remembers much about this show. It was a show that basically tried to give Olivia Holt her own song show. It's probably why she left kicking in season 4. And yeah, the show pretty much sucked, honestly. The characters suck, the humor sucks. Again, it does have an interesting concept, which is probably the only reason why it's actually not number 1. I think, if I remember correctly, this show actually was my number 1 on my original list. And well, I remember having number 1, honestly, when I had decided to work on the draft for this list. I think the concept itself does kind of save it. It's constantly actually end up abandoning in season 2 and just go for your stereotypical sitcom. And go for the typical forced romance and not really know what to do with a lot of these characters. Like, you can really tell they don't know what they want to do with some of these characters at times. And it's just like what you expect type of shows, honestly, and not really having a distinct personality on any and makes them stand out. Basic concept, at least in the first season, was basically good. They start off with a cold open about a situation that happens, and then kind of look back at what led them to that situation in the first place. Of course, I didn't do it. Which I'll say, it's a fun concept, I'll give it that. But again, it's a concept they actually abandoned in season 2. They literally don't do any of this out of season 2. But I think that's made it out just a little bit, and kind of enough to not have a number 1. Speaking of number 1, my number 1 worst Disney Channel original show, for me, in my humble opinion, is Jessie. Yes, I have Jessie at number 1. Again, I really debated for a bit, but if I were to think of a show that displays the worst elements of Disney Channel shows, and while definitely Stuck in the Middle was definitely up there. Again, like I said before, if it was for John Gott's performance, that show probably would be number 1, honestly. But as a whole, if I don't think of a show, I really don't have much of not any positive to really say about it. I would say Jessie's that show, honestly, and truthfully, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna ruffle any feathers. I'm pretty sure, if I'm correctly, I think everyone does like this show, and not everyone enjoys this show, honestly. Like, it explains the worst elements that this show can do with their characters. It's funny, because I ended up watching this show a lot when it was airing, which is probably why I remember a lot of certain scenes, a lot of certain characters. I don't know why I enjoyed this show, if I'm being honest, looking back on it. And it's the show basically stars Debbie Ryan, coming off Selena on Deck as a character of Bailey, and she basically is like an adult version of Bailey in this show, just with, instead of just talking about cattle corn or farming, it's more military stuff. And she kills nannies these bratty kids, and oh boy are they bratty. Again, this show brings out the worst elements of the show. Forced romances. I mean, it's kind of been natural here, but it's still kind of forced. Forced terrible acting from the characters. I'll say some maybe try a bit more than others, but even then, it's not enough to really save it. Also, Canada Boyce, may he rest in peace, even though his character's the worst character in the show, but he's definitely one of the better actors, so may he rest in peace. But if characters are unlikable, annoying, frustrating, and despite the worst element of characters not really growing from any situation, like if you're going to do a show like this, at least make sure the characters, learn their lessons and actually grow from the situations. And yet, you never get that from this show. You never, and I mean never, get that from this show. Never. Which again makes all the most so frustrating, and the characters are let me express the type of show, and the way it has is just whatever. Mind you, there's also 4 seasons of the show, and even by the finale, I don't feel like a lot of the characters really grow throughout the show. And you just wonder, why is Jessie being a nanny when she can just leave at any time? Like, why? So yeah, it's an increasingly frustrating show. The humor's not good. The humor's not good, the sets are not fun, the story's not fun, like, there's not really much positive I can really say about it. Maybe I can find a couple little ones. Like, I'm still on the whole trying to find the good and everything, but even the ones that I do have, did not just really say the terribleness and the unfunniness of the show. And that's why Jessie, in my opinion, is the worst Disney Channel original show. I hope you all enjoyed this video though, guys. I hope you all enjoyed me talking about these terrible shows. Again, if you like any of these shows, that's obviously fine, obviously. If you like my number 1, or number 2, or any of these shows, that's really fine. As I go over this, as I say, I'm glad you can enjoy something that I unfortunately can't. That's what I always say. Like, I know a lot of people that enjoy a lot of movies that I do not like, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not someone that tries to beat down someone over having a fucking opinion. Like, I'm sorry, Rance, but I know why people do that, honestly. But I still hope you enjoyed the video, and I would truly love to know what you think of the worst Disney Channel shows down below in the comment section. Like I said before, I'll be doing 2 other Disney Channel videos where I'll talk about my favorite sitcoms and my favorite animated shows, so stay tuned for those coming very soon. And I am Samuel Wolf, Cinema Productions. Thank you for 9 years. I'll see you next time. As always, stay cool, everybody. Peace.